scrolling through YouTube one day and I saw something about like dark meditation. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
But it's not like your typical meditation, right?
No,
it's a little bit
not.
different.
Yeah,
yeah.
If you told me a couple years ago that I'd be out here at the Travelers Championship playing against Scotty Scheffler, I would say no way. He goes, well, if you want to win the tournament, I'll take it back. I was like, whoa. I was like, slow down a little bit, man. I don't know who you are. And favorite junior golf memory?
Yes.
Keep it nice and PG for everybody. Alrighty.
Luke Clanton, welcome to the Scoop.
Thank you.
What do we go with? What is this favorite flavor?
Chocolate fudge brownie.
All right.
Pretty fired up
See
about
how it is. Oh, it's very good. How did you become a golfer?
Wow. So my two older sisters went out to the range, my dad a ton, and they did not like golf at all. It was not fun for them. So they decided to quit, and I was 4 years old on the couch. My dad was disappointed because he had no one to go golf with, and I said, Dad, I'll go play some golf. I was 4 years old. I had no clue. Then I just kind of grew the love for the game, and I played other sports growing up, and I was not great at them. So I decided, I was like, you know what, golf's a pretty good sport, and I kept playing golf, and me and my dad created a great bond that we have for the rest of our lives. So that's cool.
Great. Can you tell me about the first golf tournament that you ever won, if you remember?
I can tell you my first event ever.
Perfect.
I was 7 years old, and I remember I shot 45 and came second. There was 2 people in the field. So I remember I had the trophy, second place trophy, and I was so happy, and my dad grabbed it from me and just put it just to the side and said, that, Luke, that doesn't really count. So I said, okay.
What did the other kids shoot?
32.
All right, so not
I
particularly
lost by,
close.
what, 13?
All right.
So it was, it wasn't great, but you know what? We live and learn, and,
Yep.
and I actually knew that kid for the rest of my junior career. We played together, so it was fun. Yeah.
And now you're here.
Now I'm playing some
He's
golf.
probably not on the PGA Tour, right?
No, he's not, no.
Favorite junior golf memory?
Favorite junior golf memory?
Yes.
Boy. I'll keep it nice and PG for everybody.
All right.
But I think just kind of grow up with your friends playing golf. I think obviously we could talk about golf and winning tournaments and whatever, but I think just being able to travel every week and be with your best friends and play against each other and play on amazing golf courses, what they do for all of us. I mean, it's such a easy answer to say, but it's the truth. I mean, we have buddies now, they're all on the Corn Ferry and some on the PGA Tour like David Ford and Gordon Sargent. So it's like, just kind of cool to see us all out here. It's nice.
Great. How and kind of why FSU?
That was a good question. I loved FSU from the start, obviously, but my mom was a Bulldog. So my mom's side was basically all Bulldogs, so I was kind of in the tradition of going to Georgia maybe, and obviously Georgia's a great school and great coach, and my dad was favored a couple other colleges, and I remember I was like, I'm not going to tell you guys where I'm going until I commit.
Your own parents?
My own parents.
Oh my gosh.
And they're like, are you sure? Like, you don't want any help? And I was like, no, I think I got this one. And I called all the coaches, and the one that stuck out to me was Trey Jones. He called me up and he said, you're gonna have to earn your spot on the team. And I thought that was so cool. And he was very, all the coaches were very real with me, obviously, and they were very nice. But Trey Jones was super real with me with everything. And I think just the way I kind of grew up with my dad and mom, how they raised me was like kind of how it is. They never really gave it to me fake. And when Trey Jones did that, I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. So it was cool, and I think I chose a pretty good school.
So who knew?
No one knew except until right when I committed to the college.
Oh my gosh. So you're a good secret keeper.
Yeah, I was. It was hard. It was hard because I knew where I wanted to go for like 2 months, and then right when I was able to talk to colleges and stuff, like 3 days after I committed. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is your favorite memory of your time there with your team?
With FSU?
Yeah.
Ooh, man. A lot of good memories. Gosh, I mean, it's hard not to say, like, national championships. Obviously, we didn't finish up the way we wanted, I guess 2 years ago, but it's just so hard not to pick it because it's just, you guys grinded so long for the whole entire year and then went to there and played so well and did what we wanted. I mean, I also think, like, when I had to do the freshman duties and all that stuff, I loved it. And then also when I had to do that to the freshmen, like, it was just the kind of tradition we have at FSU is just just so good.
What does that entail?
Gosh, I mean, picking up all the bags. If every plate was left out, the freshman I pick it up. It was just kind of simple things like that. But I think, one thing that FSU does so good is like we are all just good friends. It's not like a competitive. Obviously, we compete against each other every day, but we're so friendly towards each other that we try to work together as a team. So it was so cool, and obviously I love those guys. So I hope they do well as well.
Great. All right, I'm going to read this because there's a lot to remember.
Okay.
You've played in 14 tour events, made 10 cuts with 2 runner-ups, 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. How do you handle these high pressure situations?
Gosh, I mean, it's just honestly a blessing to be out here and play. I think like if you told me a couple of years ago that I'd be out here at the Travelers Championship playing against Scotty Scheffler and Roy McIlroy or whatever, I would say no way. Obviously, I knew I was going to make it here over time, but so soon, and it's just fun. It's just like such an exciting thing when you're coming on that stretch and you have a chance to do something cool. It's a lot of people sometimes may be nervous in certain moments, but obviously I've been raised with such a great mom and dad and coaching staff that have kind of prepared me for that moment. So, obviously like RSM was crazy. I mean, I had a putt to basically get into a playoff or win, and I've never felt those nerves in my life. So it's, obviously I want to get back into that moment, but expectations are always higher, and when you do those things, it's a little bit harder, but I'm just having a blast. It's so much fun.
I've heard like kind of you talk about, or other people talk about like your confidence out here. What advice would you give to a junior who maybe struggles with confidence on the golf course? Yeah,
I mean, again, I the way my dad and how the people around me, surrounded by me, has helped a ton.
Okay.
But I would say just believe in the process you're doing. I think like sometimes we get caught up in certain things and we may not do certain things and we might not believe in ourselves, but I feel like if you're really true to your process and you stick to it and just understand it's a freaking game.
Yeah.
Like it's not life or death, you know, so you're playing a game for fun, and it's hard to sometimes do that, especially when you're out here playing out here, but you just have to enjoy it. I mean, once you start to enjoy it, once you start to realize that you're gonna miss golf shots and you're gonna hit great golf shots, it's just a lot more fun to play golf.
Yeah. One of my favorite videos that I've seen from the PGA Tour this year was when you made the cut at the Cognizant and your sisters are dressed up and they're going crazy. Yeah. What is your relationship like with them?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, they are, our whole family is very, happy. That's the best way to put it. I've tried to dial it back with all these media and cameras, but behind scenes, we're all just a bunch of riot people. We just love having a good time. And, my sisters are very passionate in what they do, and they're very passionate for our family. So it's, no matter if it's Abby doing what she's doing, we're all very passionate for her and happy for her. Same thing for Ray. And I think just kind of when the cameras come out, it's no different.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I wanted to say, because it's like people may think it's different just because cameras are out. That's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
Even if Abby got an A on an exam or Ray got a new job, we would be screaming up and down. So it's like it's just so cool to have that energy around me all the time, and especially even if you don't play well, they're right there for you. So it's just so cool.
So you're the youngest.
I am the youngest.
So it must be cool for them, like their little brother is kind of making all this come true.
I mean, it's nuts. I mean, they also have done such amazing things in their life as well. So it's like I've always told them, I was like, don't ever like overlook yourself just for me, because it's like I'm just playing golf for a living. It's nothing crazy. So it's it's really cool.
Awesome. So I met your caddy, Jason, at Augusta, actually, at the drive, chip, and putt. I'd love to hear, because you have kind of an interesting story how you met, right?
Yeah.
Can you take me through that?
Yeah. So we were at North and South. I guess it was the summer before going to college. So I was 18, and I remember we got like 2 days before the North and South. So I was hitting balls on the pro side, or member side, and I wasn't technically supposed to be over there. But I was with the member, and we were just hitting some balls, and I saw a little girl and a big dude, like 6'7" guy, and I was like, who is this guy? And whatever, I was hitting pitching wedges, and a little girl walked over to me and said, how far do you hit your pitching wedge? Just kind of started a conversation, and it was Jason that walked over, and Jason was talking to me, whatever, and he was just trying to pick my mind. And he was like, oh, where do you go to college? And I was like, I'm walking to college, I'm going to FSU. And he was like, oh, do you have a caddy this week? And I said, oh, I have Bill, which he was an older gentleman, around 80 years old, and he was pushing a golf cart, and I felt bad. So I was like, he's probably not going to caddy a match play, but, he'll probably just caddy for stroke play. He goes, well, if you want to win the tournament, I'll take the bag. I was like,
confident.
Whoa. I was like, slow down a little, man. I don't know who you are. And whatever. So I got through Instagram. I found him, and we were texting a little bit back and forth. But I was like, oh, okay, here's my tee time at 6:50 in the morning and match play. It's like, you want to show up, you show up. So I get there at like 5:20 because I was going to warm up, go to the gym, and he's on the range with a towel in his back pocket. And I was like, okay, this guy's pretty serious. So we never really spoke. We never hung out. We get on the first tee, and we just kind of hit it off right away. And, I'm a big basketball guy. He's from Chicago, big basketball guy. We get into arguments about who's the greatest of all time, which we don't need to start. But, no, it was just so cool. And we went on to win that week. And that's not even the best part about it is when the ceremony was happening, I was giving a speech, and I was looking around trying to find him, and I couldn't find him. So I texted him after the speech. I said, where are you? He goes, oh, I'm caddying for my daughter. So he drove right after we won. He drove immediately over to the golf course to caddy for his daughter for a 9-hole event. So I walked over there and I said to him, dude, I want you on the bag. I was like, you're not just a great person, but you're a great father and you have good morals. And I said, it'd be sweet. So he caddied for me in multiple USAMs and all that. And then he's caddied for me a lot of the PGA Tour events, and now we're here. So
that's a great story. I love that. So my friend Gabby Herzig from The Athletic, I just read the awesome story she wrote on you. Tell me about this meditation and how you found out about it and how that kind of works.
So I've always kind of struggled a little bit with anxiety and kind of overthinking certain things, obviously, but I think a lot of people do. And I was like, what's one way to kind of settle the mind? I was like, you know what? I was kind of going through YouTube one day and I saw something about like dark meditation. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I kind of picked it out a little bit my way, and I found some audios that I was listening to, and I was like, I'm going to turn off all lights. So the first like 2 or 3 times I did it, I was a little bit terrified, no doubt, because I lost my surroundings. I didn't know where to go. But no, it's just a good way for me to kind of settle down and kind of get into the moment. I feel like we always kind of try to rush everything we do, and sometimes doing that for 10, 15 minutes just kind of slows your heart rate and makes you relax.
But it's not like your typical meditation, right? No, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I keep my eyes open in the dark, so it kind of makes you hallucinate in a way. But you try to like almost picture what golf shots you're gonna hit, and you picture the best of the best possibilities and the worst possibilities. So no matter what you do on the golf course, you're ready for it. So it's kind of a weird way to do it, but I've done it for 7 months now. So it's been, I actually did it, the first week I ever did it, I think was at RSM.
Okay.
So, because I was really nervous and I didn't know how to handle it, so I just did that. So it was pretty cool.
And you're picturing, like, you go through every single hole.
Every single hole.
So how long does it take?
Sometimes it could take a while. I'll be in there. I could be in there for an hour, or I could be in there for 5 minutes.
Okay.
So it's if I play the golf course already, it's kind of easy just to go through it. But out here, especially, it could take 30, 40 minutes. But so you got to be careful you don't fall asleep.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if you're awake or not.
Right.
So
that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, I love it, and I think it's definitely a little bit weird, but I've been so used to it.
No, well, this is totally different, but I've started doing just like on the Happier app, it's called. Like the meditate. It's not as intense as that, but I've been doing like 10 minutes a day, and it's good, right? Like
meditation's the best thing possible.
Yeah.
It's so easy, and I'm a big, in my religious faith, so obviously I like to like kind of be slowing down my process and what I do, and I think that's the best way to do it.
Has your faith always been a big part of your life?
Massive. Yeah, it's over the last 3 years. So I grew up, actually, my mom and dad were Christian, my sisters were Christian, and I always in high school was always a little bit skeptical, and I was actually atheist, so I just didn't believe anything. I actually tried to prove it wasn't right. I remember one day I was walking in college my freshman year, and I was kind of struggling a little bit mentally, and I wasn't playing good, but golf's golf. That's whatever. And I just was struggling mentally. And I remember walking one day and I saw this guy on the side of the street after I went to class for 2 minutes and left because I just did my attendance and left. I was not in a good mood. And I saw this guy and he looked homeless. So I just tried to kind of walk around him, and he looked at me. He said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Oh." I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I kind of shrugged him off and walked past him, and they said, "It's my back." And he said, "Are you okay?" So I turned around and I said, "Yeah, man, I'm fine. Like I don't need help." And then he pulls out a Bible behind him and hands it to me and goes, "Jesus loves you." And that was the first moment in my life where it kind of just struck me, where I was like, this is just such an awe moment, because I was thinking about Jesus for the last couple of weeks, and then I went back and went up to the one Bible verse, that I knew at the time was John 3:16. So for God so loved the world, he gave his one and only son. I just kind of went from there, and then Jace Barber from CGF came into my life a week later.
Wow.
And I just spilled everything to him. I just spilled my whole life story because I was like, I know Jesus is trying to reach out to me and come to me. And ever since then, I've just tried to follow my faith as much as I can. Obviously, it's hard. You're going to make mistakes and you're sinning every day, but it's just amazing to see the process of what I'm doing. So it's
yeah.
cool.
It's really interesting to hear there's a handful of players on tour, I feel like, who have been really vocal
Scotty's
about
been
it.
a great, he's unbelievable what he does and how he talks about it. That's kind of the model that a lot of younger golfers are trying to take over now, is what Scotty's doing is, golf's not his identity, and I believe the same thing. And because we do just play golf for a living. It's amazing, but it's not our identity.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that I'm working on more and more. I come out here and realize, because, a lot of people try to make your identity. So it's cool.
Yeah. You mentioned Scotty. Have there been any other, maybe including him, interactions with pros that you've kind of been like, wow, I'm really out here. I've seen that guy on TV so much, and now here I am.
Yeah. last week or 2 weeks ago, I played with Rory McIlroy, and it was nuts. I was on the first tee, and I think we teed off on 10 pretty early in the morning, and the range session, putting and chipping was fine. I was not nervous, and I remember we walked to the tee like 10 minutes before, just because we didn't want to walk over Rory because everyone's going to scream. So we get up there, and I remember I was fine. I said hi to him. I was so excited. I remember when we get up to the tee, I put my ball on the ground, and my hand just starts going like this. And I was like, okay, I just need to chill out a second. I took it back. I couldn't feel the club. And I was like, just please make contact. And it went right down the middle. And I was like, thank God. Because I was like, if that, I don't even know where I was going to hit it. So it was just so cool. And Rory was amazing with me. And he was super nice with everything and super helpful with everything, especially with Scotty as well. Menwoo Lee, there's just a bunch of guys out here that have been so nice. They've been so welcoming to the tour, and I think that's something so cool, because a lot of people think we're always competing against each other, but we're all doing the same thing. We're all trying to just become the best we can. So it's so cool to see.
What's been the biggest surprise out here? Your life literally has changed so quickly.
Yeah, I honestly, I said it's a little bit easier than college golf, because you get to play 9 holes, eat some food and practice, and then kind of do it again. So the preparation is definitely nicer. Everyone out here is so so nice and helpful with everything. So it's the trainers out here, everyone. It's just you basically treat it like a king out here. It's so nice, and I always thought, I was like, you can't really get mad, when you're out here, because you're just playing golf for them. But it's just unbelievable. Yeah.
Great. And then I have one question that I ask everybody before we get into our rapid fire, and then we'll let you go. I ask, if you're looking at your whole golf career, a low moment, a high moment, and something that you've learned.
Well, that's a good question. A low moment. Gosh, that's the one moment I think of is I was 16, and I was at I think it was at a Stream Song AJGA event. And this is gonna sound so weird, but I wanted to kind of quit golf. I was kind of done and didn't want to play golf anymore. We played 2 days of golf, and I remember I was tied 50th. And I told my mom, I was like, I just want to withdraw and go home. I'm done. And she looked at me and she goes, you ain't withdrawing. We paid for this. I was like, okay, fair enough. So I went out the next day and shot 62. And I came in third. And I was like, I'm not saying that flipped my whole career around, but it just my mom kind of just came out to me and she said, this is what I'm talking about. It just takes one chance and it takes one opportunity. And, I think obviously a high moment was Cognizant and making my card, but I think just kind of the journey of what I've been on. There's not been much high and lows, because waste management, I thought it was a big learning experience for me. That was probably the coolest thing ever. You miss a cut and to get your card, and I remember walking off and I was so grateful for everything. I've never felt that before. I've never felt like looking up at the sky and saying thank you, because it's just more of a moment of I had this opportunity in front of thousands of people to do something really cool, and you don't get that often. So it was just, I think that was the biggest learning experience for me, was just understanding that it's just a game of golf. So it's cool.
Awesome. All right, some rapid fire questions for you. Favorite movie?
Interstellar.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's long though.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Pro you most want to be paired with?
Gosh, I don't want to say. Scotty Scheffler.
Okay. Course you haven't played but want to?
Augusta.
Song you're listening to on repeat?
Oh gosh. New York by Billy Joel.
Dream foursome?
Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan. I don't want to put another golfer in, but I'm gonna say Roy McIlroy.
Okay. Favorite class you took in college?
You know what? I'm gonna say one of the math classes because it had 4 teammates in it. And
Oh,
we would
that's
just all
fun.
go together, and I think that was probably the best class. Yeah.
Okay. Player you look up to?
Gosh, I mean, I'm just gonna repeat an answer. I'm gonna say Tiger.
All right. Best shot you've ever hit in a tournament?
I made a 2 on a par 5 when I was 10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
How would your friends describe you?
Very, very driven, sarcastic, and hopefully funny. Hopefully.
All right. Finally, lowest round and where?
Ever?
Yes.
Non-tournament?
Can be anything, yeah.
Okay, I've shot 60 12 times at my home golf course.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I
That's
never
the
broke
record,
59.
right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Roman.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for
No worries.
this.
Thank you.
Here at The Scoop, we have 2 golden rules. 1, you need to have good ice cream. 2, you need to have a good outfit. And that's why I'm wearing Penguin. I've got the jacket, the sweater, and even a pair of pants, so we're ready to go.